And let's see how this goes.
No niin, nyt.
All right, are we back online? Sorry about this. This is always when you do live streams. It's something like this. But let's see now. We could resume. I'm glad that I could resume it. But hi there, Matti. How are you doing?
Pretty good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine. How have you been coping with the lockdown?
Well, to be honest, my life hasn't changed that much after all because I work from or at home all the time anyway. So I just try not to go out too much, even though it's not strictly forbidden here in Finland yet. But I still want to be like a proper citizen and not go out unless it's necessary.
Yeah, that's a wise thing. The same thing I do. I work from home, so it's not really a big deal for me either. And you know, but it's just crazy times. And the funny thing is that actually I had my last gig photo shoot today. That's in my calendar for the rest of the year. And let's see what happens in the rest of the year and how long this is going to last. And don't worry, I wasn't photographing people. It was an empty factory that I was photographing. So that was a good time for them to get those photos because nobody was there. And what about your? How did you, Matti, like the the toilet paper photography challenge? I'm really happy that you took part on that. And let's see the images what we took. Can you tell me something about your image?
Well, my approach was, like I said in my video, a pretty traditional old school studio picture. And in the past, I've done a lot of pictures like that, not toilet paper, but other products like that for magazine covers and advertising and stuff like that way back in the 90s when I was still using film. And back then I had to, or every photographer pretty much had to do them in camera, at least for the most part. So I decided to kind of remember that or go back in time and try to do something similar, a little bit similar. And I think the challenge itself was pretty cool and definitely something that everyone can do at home.
Yeah, that was my intention that we could do something at home because of lockdown. We'd all have a lot of excessive time, and there was no concert, no sports or anything like that on TV or on venues. So you might as well do something good and learn something new. And I think it was funny. First, to be honest, first I was a bit, how would I say? Wait a minute, what happened here now? There's something wrong again. I'm trying to. Let's see if I can change the. Oh, I can't get it that away. Let's see. Okay, toilet paper for our things, but I think it's back online, I guess. How is the line? Please comment if there's big problems because I have quite a few screens here. I need to talk at the same time. But anyways, I'm glad that people took it really like it was meant to be, a bit funny assignment. And like on Matti's video, there was a lot of good tips about product photography. And also Rob Trek made a very fun video where he took a shot also, and he had a lot of interesting stuff about photography and how to the editing your images in camera. And that was kind of fascinating because I haven't really done that at all. Have you ever done that, Matti or Matti?
Not that much. I mean, I usually use my camera to take pictures, and if I have to do some editing, I do it in post afterwards. I want to concentrate on my photography when I'm using my camera, but I still think it's a good feature to have, that you can do stuff like that also in camera.
Yeah, well, let's check here who's here now. There is quite a lot of people. We have 75, which is a good amount. I see.
Whoa.
There are a lot of familiar names here that are always. Let's see if there are any questions. And if you guys have any questions, just please ask us. We're here to talk about photography and And it's always if somebody asks questions, it's a lot easier to figure out how to or come up with things to say. But have you watched the Instagram feed on the toilet paper challenge at all, Matti?
I saw that some people were posting pictures and using the hashtag, but I haven't really trying to see all of the pictures. But I was happy to see some of the pictures, and also happy to see that my name or your name was mentioned
that's good.
there.
Yeah, it's very good, because I really like those images that they were like, I don't know, 15 images, and they were really nice ideas. And then there was actually one lady that I will put a link in the description of this video, when she made a whole photo shoot with glamour shots of the toilet paper. And I think that was really funny, because those were really high quality shots. It's exactly like it was a real client, and that was really funny. Okay, there are some comments about bandwidth. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, let's see. We have, I think Rob is here and Robin is here, so we have quite a lot of Micro Four Thirds users. You recently made a video, Matti, about the future of Micro Four Thirds, or you were comparing it to full frame, which is always, I think, a kind of like it's an old and maybe not that well, it is interesting, but it's been talked a lot, but people seem to like that. So what do you think now? Have you changed your mind at all?
Well, I still think Micro Four Thirds and full frame, they both have their place. And back when we still used film, 35mm or today's full frame negative size was the smallest any professional would use. And it was simply not good enough for some purposes, for some advertising or something. And then you pretty much had to have a bigger negative or bigger film size cameras too. Otherwise you couldn't just do some assignments. But today the cameras are so good that even on a Micro Four Thirds camera you can do pretty much almost any kind of assignment if you just want to use it. But I still think though both systems have their place, and I think these days Micro Four Thirds is like my 35mm camera, and the full frame is my like medium format camera, and that's how I put them or position them these days.
Yeah, that's actually a good comparison. And you also made, like I did, a video about the cameras that we have been using, and I don't remember, did you say that what was your favorite camera of all time, or is there something special that you did with some phase of your career that was the camera was something that meant something, or was it just a tool?
I think in most of the time it was just a tool for me, but I have to say I really liked the Nikon FM2 camera. I think that was a fantastic camera, and also the Mamiya RZ Pro, that was also a fantastic camera, but I don't think I have any absolute favorite camera. I've been using so many cameras and I forgot several cameras. Also, I just remembered afterwards that I forgot some cameras.
Yeah, but
I've had so many.
You could make a sequential of that.
Yeah.
Well, for me, actually, excuse me. For me, actually, of course, one of the the first cameras when I was a younger kid, that was really exciting, and of course the first camera that I bought, the Cosina CS1, was exciting. But I have to say that one of the biggest, or actually a game changer for me, was the Canon 5D Mark II, because it had the full HD video, which was remarkably good at the time. Even though, like I said in the video, that if you watch it now, it's not a very good quality actually, but it was something totally mind-blowing at the time. And that was 12 years ago, 2008 I think it was. So that was that was really interesting. And of course, then the latest cameras are always good. But for me also, the cameras has been mostly tools, and I didn't really care which one I was using. As I just get the job done was the most important thing. There was actually one question, it's in Finnish here, but we will answer in English. It was asking that how is the coronavirus affecting our work and what we can do. Do you want to answer first, Matti?
Is he talking about my photography work?
Yeah,
or
but how does it affect your, getting paid and your work?
I have to say that it hasn't so far affected much. I'm just doing whatever I'm doing right now, but I've heard that many professionals have photographers and other small like entrepreneurs, they have problems.
Yeah, and as, like I said in the beginning, that I had my last photo shoot this year. That's in my calendar so far, and don't know when the next one is. But of course, there are some new opportunities doing live streams for Olympus, maybe here in Finland, and those are maybe coming next and upcoming week. So that's something to work, to do online webinars and stuff like that. So it's definitely affecting, and if that lockdown and the virus is going to be long term, and it's going to be, summer when and all that before we go out when we want to and wherever we want to, then it's going to be a big problem then, because no money, no honey, so forth. So it's going to affect really bad, I guess.
I hope I can go out during the midsummer when the day is the longest, because I have a really good topic for a video at that time, but I have to do it exactly then. So I hope that I can go out.
I think we can go out. Finland is, it's not a very, how do you call it, not a very high density of people in Finland. So I think we can go out, but of course it will affect where we can go. So that might be a problem, and definitely it will affect. And especially if you have a studio, then it will affect you, because you have a bigger expenses of this. You still have to pay the studio rent, even though nobody's there to photograph. And that's a big issue in many cases. Yeah, that was a good question.
I'm gonna answer someone's comment here, but you keep on talking.
You can. Oh, you're gonna write something there.
Yes.
Let's see. That was Antti
I can say it, of course.
Yeah, you can. That's
too
good.
But I'm gonna write it. So.
Oh, you're gonna write it.
Yes.
Oh, when there is one question about which one you're answering, depends, because I was just gonna ask you that.
Someone is asking if the G85 is too outdated for today's.
I was just going to ask you about
Okay, I can say that. Yeah. Okay, I don't understand why it would be outdated. I mean, I absolutely see no reason why it would be outdated. I think it's if you think it's outdated, it's in your head and nothing else. It's not that old. Camera, and I think it's still pretty good camera, like any other camera that's a few years old.
Yeah, and then there was a question about is it worth changing Pana 1260 with the new Olu 12-45? And we're talking about the 3.5 to 5.6 lens. And what I have to say about that, of course, is that if you need a bit faster lens and constant aperture, then it might be a wise thing to do. But otherwise, if you already have the other lens, then I'm not really sure. Matti probably says that it is worth it.
I'm not sure. So this person probably has the 12 to 60 millimeter. I'm sure both lenses are good. I haven't tried the Olympus lens, of course, but those lenses are very close in terms of specifications, and probably also in terms of optical performance. But of course, the Olympus is pro grade lens, so if you need that pro extra, maybe it's worth it. But I don't think you're gonna see much difference in your pictures in the end.
Yeah, that's always the question you should answer when you are considering getting a new lens. That is it going to make you a better better photographer? They're saying that I'm not that loud. Matti is louder.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
Someone comment if the audio is now good, and Robin says maybe my audio is too loud. Should I turn it?
I can maybe lower it down.
Can you do something?
Let's see. It's always hard because when I really cannot, monitor the audio from the video that goes out. I can only hear Matti in my headphones, but I'm not really do not know how loud our voices are when it goes out. But let's see if there are any questions. Yeah, Fungiman says that he's still using Canon and Kodak point-and-shoot cameras from 2006 and 2007, and they don't feel that outdated for him. Well, that's good. Good. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Let's see if I can turn that a bit up. Not really sure. Let's put the microphone a bit closer here. Now we can turn it a bit. Okay, let's see if it's better now.
There's another lens question.
Oh, just go ahead.
Asking how the Olympus 12-100 is better than the Lumix. I'm not sure if he's asking about. I'm not sure what he's asking about. He's asking if the 12-100 is better than the 14-140.
Must be 14 and 150. What it means. Yeah, the 12-100 millimeter is better lens. It's a pro grade lens. Of course it's a bigger, it's a bit faster, but it is a better lens, and it has the built-in stabilizer, so you can use the Sync IS, and yeah, it is a better lens. That I can say for sure. That is so.
Joe is asking if I've tried V-Log. Have I tried V-Log now? Not right now, but I've tried it. In my next video I have some B-roll that I shot using the V-Log on my G9.
Yeah, it probably means the log in your camera and not the the vlogging style. That's probably not it. And
no, I think.
Then there was somebody asked about, let's see where it went. So many questions here that I can't keep it up. Somebody was asking about the 60mm macro lens. How is it usable as a general lens? And yeah, it is for portraits. It is, and a short telephoto lens, of course. It's a bit awkward lens to use because it has quite a lot of little knobs and with the where you can restrict where it's focusing. So it's not in that sense the best option, but it's a very good option if you need a short telephoto lens and a macro lens. Then it's a really good option. You kind of like have two lenses in one. So in that sense, it's a good lens.
Yes, all macro lenses are good also for all kinds of photography.
That's true.
The only difference between a regular prime is that usually macro lens has a slower maximum aperture. Yeah. Usually it's around 2.8, whereas a similar other prime probably has 1.8 or something else. But if that's not a big deal for you, then a macro lens is a great general purpose lens as well.
That is true. Do you have a macro lens, Matti?
I have the Leica 45mm f2.8,
yes.
Which it's not right here now, but it was here.
But didn't you know, I remember you had a video that you didn't like macro that much, or was it that it was the bugs that you were shooting, or is that a
Um,
thing that you don't like macro photography?
yes, my one of my very first videos that I made for YouTube was about me not liking macro photography, and it's still true. I have a trauma from the past,
Oh, really?
from my very early days when I was just starting out as a professional,
Oh,
and
I haven't heard
I
that.
took I took an assignment, and that involved a lot of extremely small products. But back then, I didn't know anything about shooting such really tiny products, and the whole assignment ended up being a nightmare. I, I finished it, but ever since I have kind of disliked macro
Oh,
photography a
I
lot.
see. Oh, I see. Yeah. Uh, I kind of like doing macro because it opens up totally new worlds of photography. Because when you focus really close and you take your camera really close, you see things that you don't see with your eye, and that's what I like. I don't like shooting bugs, but it's just, I don't like bugs. So, but otherwise, it's really interesting, and I have a couple of videos about macro photography as well on my channel, and that's something also to do right now. And if you have a lot of free time and you need to be at home, then doing macros indoors at home, finding everyday objects and see what they look like when you get really close, and I think that's something you could do.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's like a great idea right now when many people just simply can't leave their home. So shoot some macro. It's a good thing, and don't mind about me.
Yeah, of course we like different things, and of course it's something that we don't all like. And do you have any other? You had one video, I don't remember, it was a year ago, when you made some project that you could do home where you were in a shower or whatever, doing those water things. That's also a video that people should check out from Matti's channel, because that's something also that you could do right now with
Yeah,
your photography.
yeah, I did one. I think it was last towards the end of last year
Oh,
when I
okay,
did
yeah,
that. But yeah, check it out. Browse my channel.
yeah.
There's
It
a
was a good video.
there-
Again,
mm,
I remember commenting it. I don't know if I wrote it there, but I was commenting to Matti about that video. That all right, now he's done something. He's in a shower in his video, so check that video out. I will try to find it and put also a link in the description to that video, since we started talking about it. But do you have any other suggestions? What should people do now when they have, most of us have a lot of free time? What are the things to explore or learn, or do you have any suggestions?
well, I when I was still living in a house on a countryside, I once did a project where I photographed inside my house everything. I was just watching how the light was coming through the windows in different rooms at different times of day, and I ended up getting some nice shots and some nice details. And if you have a home where sun is shining in, coming through the windows, just um, um, what's the word? Explore, or oh man, I forgot the word. But anyway, look at those shadows and the light coming through the window, and what kind of shadows it makes, and try to capture that. And also, you can make some really cool time lapses with the shadows moving around the house. So that's one idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and that reminds me also of things that, now that we cannot travel or go far away from our homes and houses, why don't you explore just surrounding, or the surroundings which are really close to your house, because those are usually too familiar places for you, that you don't see that there are a lot of photo opportunities. And I know a lot of people might do gardening, and then they like to make images of their flowers and plants, what they grow, and that's also a very good project to do. and also the indoors. And also what could be good if your family is up to it, then try to make and learn some portraiture. I know that it's sometimes when you're trying to make images of your loved ones at home, and it's not an easy task, but you can bribe your kids to do that, to be modeling and learning and make it maybe practicing that a bit. And then there's actually one thing also is that if you have old negatives, old slides or old prints, you might want to digitize those and make something out of those. And there's actually, I'm planning on making a video about that, and I think Matti said also that he might do something similar here in the near future. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what we talked today when we talked to each other about photography, and that's also something to do.
Yes, definitely. I have to do some digitizing too, because I have too many cardboard boxes full of negatives and chromes or slides, and I'd like to get rid of all that and get it all digitized, but I'm just too lazy to get it started. I have thousands and thousands
but if you make a video about it, then you just kind of like have to start doing it.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess I have to promise now that I make the video, so then I have to start doing it.
I already promised them. You didn't hear. Then there is.
I heard you.
Yeah. Oh, you did. Then there was. Let me go back with the comments. So somebody asking. Alan was asking about the Olympus 100 to 400 millimeter lens that was pre-announced, and I have no knowledge when that lens will be on the market, but I hope this year, because it's a very interesting lens. Because now, if you want that lens, you need to buy a Panasonic lens, which is, well, a bad thing if you have Olympus cameras. But at the moment, you have to do that, because the focal length for those long lenses from 100 to 400 is very convenient. Because if you're using long lenses and you cannot really move, then the zoom is really good. If you stuck, see some birds and you can't really move, if you start moving, the birds fly away. So zooming in would be a lot easier to do, and the 100 and 400 is very good for that. And you tested the Panasonic 100 and 400, right?
Yes. I still have the lens. It's not mine, but it's still. Yeah. I still have it.
Have you used it? You're not a bird photographer either.
No, I don't. I mean, it's a fantastic lens, and like I said in my video, my review, that Panasonic probably hit the sweet spot with the lens. It's just about the right size and the right price for that kind of a lens. And optically, it's a good lens, but it's just way too long for me. I don't need such a long telephoto for anything.
Yeah, that's true. I'm kind of like that. Okay, I've been doing it a bit because it's an interesting thing to learn new things, and that's why I've been using a bit longer lenses. I have the 40 to 150 millimeter 2.8 Pro lens is my longest lens that I have, but I've sometimes been using the 300 millimeter, but it's too long for me, that one also. But let's see if there is any questions. There's a lot of comments going on, and 100 people watching. That's always nice when you hit the 100 mark. I haven't been following that much, but really glad that you guys are here. And let's see.
Can I answer one question here?
Of course you can.
Joe is asking, what's the advantage of shutter degree instead of shutter speed in video? Okay, the advantage of shutter degree is that if I set it to 100 and let's say I set it to 180 degrees or whatever degrees, and then I change my video frame rate, my shutter angle will still stay the same. If I set the shutter speed, let's say 1/50th of a second for 25p, and then I switch to 50p, I also have to remember to change the shutter speed. But if I set the shutter angle, it stays the same regardless of the frame rate I choose. So I don't have to remember to change the shutter angle every time I change the frame rate.
Then there was a question from Rudolf Abelin that he says that Sony A7S III was suspended to next year, maybe because of the virus situation. Have you any knowledge about Panasonic cameras being delayed because of the situation?
No, I have no knowledge, or I don't know anything about that. But I would imagine that there has to be some delays. But like I said, I'm only imagining and speculating. But it's hard to believe that this virus thing only affects other manufacturers, because it's affecting everyone.
Yeah, it is, and it is affecting because the components come from, I would say, not too many factories make those, or companies make those same components, and there are probably a lot of same components in cameras, so it will affect everyone, I guess. And that's a pity, because I think some of the companies have even closed down their factories for a little while, and I know that Sony has used some of the components that were supposed to be in cameras. They've used it in PlayStation 5, so that tells that maybe PlayStation 5 sells better than cameras.
It's much more important than some camera.
Yeah, it is. That's true. That's true. Let's see if there's anything else. Any questions? Oh, the Sony thing was a joke. Maybe I missed something here, because I only see some of the stuff. But what videos, Matti, you are planning on doing now? Have you planned anything else except maybe the digitizing thing? You had some lenses that you have been testing, right?
Yes, I have a video coming up of the Leica 5mm f1.4 Mark II version that came out. Yeah, and I also have another lens video, but I'm not sure how to get the test pictures, because I wouldn't like to go out and make pictures in this situation.
Oh, that's true. That's always a bit hard to do, but as long as staying safe and keeping the distance from others, it's still okay to go out. In that sense,
yeah,
it's not forbidden at all. So I wouldn't be so worried about it. But it's it is a hard thing to, let's say, make videos. If you want to go out, it's always a bit hazardous, because it always draws attention. Always somebody comes and asks you something. What are you doing? And like that. So that might be not a good idea. But the funny thing is that most of the cities are quite empty now, and especially the huge metropoles that have like millions and millions of people, and all the time they're crowded. Now all streets are empty. That is some really great opportunity to make images, and if that is, let's say, legal in a way, then I think we should record or document that. That is definitely something that I might be doing here in Helsinki. I haven't done it yet, but let's see how things go out. Finland or Helsinki is not very crowded city anyways. You can take those empty streets on a Sunday morning anyways, but still it's something unique that's going on right now.
It is, definitely.
You haven't been shooting empty streets, Matti, at all?
No, I haven't. Last was a couple of days ago. I took a walk with my wife, and it was I don't remember which day, but a couple of days ago. And some parts of the city were definitely pretty empty, but some of the walking parts were quite crowded, because everyone was kind of enjoying the nice weather.
Yes. There is one question about lens choice. Photo Svein asks, would you two choose the 17 or 25mm for full and half body portraits and group pictures with 10 plus people? What would you choose?
I would choose 25, definitely, unless there was a very, very limited space, so I couldn't go far back enough. But
me too.
If there was,
if there is enough room, then take the 25. If not, then 17, of course. But both
17 only in an emergency.
yeah, I would go with the 25 also with that, because that's so-called standard lens, and the perspective is quite neutral. The 17mm might make the people on the edges a bit, skewed, or is that a right word?
Yeah, I guess so. And also, if you have to tilt the camera down or up a little bit, 17 will make the keystone or whatever perspective distortion much more pronounced.
That's true. And then there is Jose Alberto Martin Ortega is asking about image editing. That do we take them straight to Lightroom? And for me, I can say yes, I do. I mainly use Lightroom, or 100%, I would say. So that's all the time I use Lightroom. It's maybe not the best raw engine that Lightroom has, but it's a workflow which I'm really accustomed to, because when Lightroom came, I think it was around 10 years ago, 12 years ago, or even, is it longer? Well, anyways, I could stop using 7 other softwares when I took Lightroom, and it was a huge thing back then, and it still is a good software, but I know that it's not the best raw engine that it has. And Olympus Workspace is a good software. If you have Olympus cameras, you can download it for free and start using it. The only thing you need is your serial number from your camera. And pro tip, you can use any serial number from any Olympus camera. It's not anything, you can use the same one many times. And it's a good software to start exploring. The downside of that program or software is that it can only do global adjustments. It cannot do local adjustments. And if you don't know what that global and local means, there is a video in my channel where you can find out that. And then the Olympus Workspace is a bit slow, but otherwise it's a good start. But I would use something else if I needed to do more and learn more about image editing. But you are also a Lightroom user, Matti, aren't you?
Yes, I've used it since the very first beta, way back, many years back. Yeah. And for me also, it's the workflow thing. And it's just flows for me, the Lightroom, and I'm using it because of that. It makes my life easy, and I'm just too lazy to learn anything else because Lightroom works. It might not be the best, but it still works. And only thing I don't really like is the monthly subscription plan. But then again, it's not that expensive. For about 12 euros, I get both Photoshop and a Lightroom. So, and plus some cloud storage also. So I don't think it's such a bad deal after all.
Yeah, it is. It's. I think it's for Adobe, the monthly fee has been really good because they've been making huge profit. And but I think it's for like the photographer's plan is like 12 euros or $12, and it's not a bad. You get a very good software for that. But there are some free alternatives too. So, and then there is Uwe is asking about the new sensor. Any predictions about the new sensor for Micro Four Thirds?
Not that I know of. I don't know anything. But I suppose there has to be at some point there has to be a new sensor, and in my opinion is that Micro Four Thirds needs a new sensor. If nothing else, it needs it to make it look better, the whole system, to kind of prove that something is happening. And the sensor the current cameras use, it's not exactly a new sensor anymore.
Yeah, it's not a new sensor. It's been okay. The image quality has been improved with new processors a bit, and of course better lenses. But it can always go as far as it can. So I also agree that a new sensor would be nice, but I don't know when that's going to happen. And probably the current situation in the world with the virus thing is going to postpone it for a bit, I guess. And then there was Tina Bergström is asking for about macro lights or lighting for macro projects. You have some small lights, don't you, Matti? In your videos, LumeCubes, or what did you have?
Yes, I have. Oh, I put them away also. I was shooting some B-roll just a while ago. I had them here, but they are in my drawer now. But I think they are great lenses, for example, for macro work, and they are extremely tiny, and they have enough power. They are bright enough. If you are looking for LED lights, that is, if you are looking for flash, then I think any remotely remote, I forget words today, remote controlled flash is good, and with and then you get a small, like a softbox for it. I have a video where I'm shooting macro, and Robin Wong has several videos, I think, where he's shooting macro. So please check him out, and you'll find your answer there.
Yes, and I have also a couple of older LumeCubes. I think they're LumeCube Air called, and then there is one company called Ulanzi, and that makes some really interesting lights that are a bit more cheaper, or not that expensive. The LumeCube, some might be a bit expensive, and then there is all these small LED lights that has also RGB functions, and those are really fun because then you could use different colors. Let's say if you want to photograph some bubbles in the water in the soda, and put some colored lights behind and things like that. Those might be a good effects on some special effects on the images. But look for small LED lights. Those are really not that bad prices, and when you digital, the color accuracy isn't that crucial because you can always fix it. But if the light is really cheap, then I would avoid those because the colors might be something totally different.
Yeah, but as long as you don't have mixed light sources, even some cheap light that doesn't have really accurate color temperature, it might work if you don't have any other lights there.
That's true. Then there was a question about video Davinci Resolve, which is a free video editing software, which is really good. And I've tried it sometimes, but so far I haven't had time to use it that much because it's a learning curve, because it's a different software and the logic is a bit different than Premiere. And when you're constantly working on video, you just don't have time to learn the new things. Maybe now, then when there is more free time, I could learn Davinci Resolve. I don't. Have you, Matti, tried it?
I've downloaded it, but I haven't really. I've launched it, the software, but I haven't really tried it. I'm using a Mac computer, and I have the Final Cut Pro 10, which is really well optimized for Mac, and it's really fast on a Mac. So right now I have no need for any other software.
Let's see if there are any other questions. Yeah, Rick Bear has a good point on the macro that you can also use reflectors, small pieces of paper and small reflectors, so you don't actually not necessarily need that many lights. And then what comes to mind that also using live comp is one good option for macro. It depends on, of course, what you're shooting with macro, but live comp is that you light one part and then you light the next part, and you can see the progress of the light in your LCD. So that's also a good thing. Thanks, Rick, for bringing the reflectors out.
Yes, I agree. Always good to try other things first than buying new gear.
Oh yes, and like photography is a lot of fun in a way that there are lots and lots of things that you can kind of build yourself and be creative, because people been using Pringless tubes for macro lights for snoots, and you can build everything. And if you it's a different thing, of course. If you go out shoot professionally, you need to look professional, but if you shooting for yourself, it doesn't matter. I have lots and lots of all kinds of do-it-yourself things that I've done over the years. So it was like, if I don't know if you saw the toilet paper photographs that Matti took. He has some, what did you have, gaffer's tape and all kinds of things that you needed to use in your image.
Yeah, it was all hidden behind
Yeah.
the rolls, but it
Yeah,
was there.
it was there. Let's see if there are any other questions. Let's see. Yeah, let's talk about the 60 millimeter. Now it's working. And, yeah, there was somebody else is saying also about LumaCube, and lighting is always, if you think about lighting, you can always start. It doesn't matter what you are shooting. You can always start with the natural light from the window. If you do portraits, if you do macro, you products, anything, you can use the window or the natural light that comes from the window, and then use some reflectors, use some tin foil, mirrors, white papers, colored papers, and small flashlights that you might have in your house, and all that kinds of things. And it's because, like Matti said earlier, that a project that to do now is to see how the light changes during the day inside your house, or what the light is when it comes through the window is something to learn. And photographing portraits in front of a window different times of a day makes a totally different kind of light. So there's a lot to learn and a lot to explore about light. And as we say, we don't say, it's actually, it is photography is drawing with light. So you need light to make a photograph, and that's always the most important thing anyways.
It is, and window light is a good light. Remember that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is, and that's what photography started. That's what they used. It took a long
Of course.
It took a long time before they invented or the films were fast enough to be used in natural light.
Artificial light.
Artificial light. Sorry. Yeah, artificial light. Yeah, because like the studios, when the photography started, the studios could only operate during the day from like 10 to 2 o'clock, because then it was the brightest part of the day, and it only took like 4 hours. So, but it's something to explore. All right, Gustav has received his EM1 Mark III. So he's been trying the handheld high-res shot, which is pretty amazing. I haven't really tried it that much. I just got the other day for making a video about some features, so I need to try that a bit more. And now Rick Berry is saying, a challenge for everyone. Try photographing polished silver object or glassware. Normal lighting setups won't work. It's very tricky and great fun to find what does work. Yeah, that's probably the hardest part of any genre, I would say, is to photograph shiny object or glass bottles. That's probably the hardest subject for product photography. Sometimes glassware, bottles and glassware. Yeah.
Glass is easier than some shiny object.
That's true.
And glass, actually, if you know what you're doing, glass is not that hard. But those shiny bowls or coffee pots or whatever, coffee pots made of steel, they can be really, really tricky to photograph and make them look good without any major post-processing.
That's true, but everything is easy if you know what you're doing. So.
Of course, yeah, that's true. But
yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It is really, really hard to do to the silverware, for example. And then there is the Rudolf Abelin. I think the old Lumix 4575 is quite par focal. I haven't really tried it. It has a motor zoom. Do you know what that lens is? I've never heard about that lens. 45 to
I
175.
yes, I think way many years ago I might have reviewed it when I still had my website.
Oh,
But quite a few of the newer, at least some of the newer Panasonic zoom lenses are parfocal in the sense that the autofocus motor keeps the focus the same even if you zoom in or out.
yeah.
But they are not optically parfocal.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's kind of, but still it does the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's see. There are not any more questions. And you said that you're testing. What was the other lens that you say you're testing? I missed it. The other one, that you haven't made a video yet.
I didn't say, but
Oh, you didn't say. That's why I don't remember. Because I was like, did I miss something?
Oh, it's the 12 to 35 millimeter f2.8 Mark II, the Lumix
yeah, that's
lens.
true. That's true. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I want to make the video because that's the original pro grade compact zoom lens for Micro Four Thirds.
Yeah.
And now that Olympus came out with this 12 to 45 f4,
Yeah.
and you and Robin and all other Olympus visionaries are talking about how compact it is. But the Lumix lens was the first pro grade compact zoom lens.
It doesn't matter which one is first, it matters which one is better. We should actually, well, it's not the time to test it now, but we try to figure out how we could test that so we could make a video about those lenses head to head. But let's see what we can come up with. It's not the best time to do it right now, but let's see if what we can come up with.
Yeah, we can do it when this chaos is over. We'll get together and make a like a comparison together.
Yeah, somebody is asking, Matti, what the leather hand grip you have in your camera.
This strap. I have two of these, and these are made by my daughter several years ago. I asked her to make me a couple of wrist straps for my camera, and everyone's asking about these. And I'm planning on, I actually asked somebody if he can make a small batch of these.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So there might be some available sometime in the future.
That'd be cool. To put your name on it, Sulanto blog or Matti there. That'd be totally cool.
Yeah.
That'd be totally cool. Let's see if there are any other questions here. If you have any questions, we will, we've been here for an hour, and I don't know if I ever said that we might be here around an hour, and I think it's been an hour now. Let's see.
Yeah, we can go on a bit longer, no problem.
Yeah, no problem. If you have some questions, there's still 100 people watching, so maybe we'll stay for a little while. Let's see if there are any questions. Henrik Silva is talking about filters. That's. Do you use any filters nowadays, Matti?
I'm only using variable ND filter when I'm shooting video. I've never used a lot of filters. Back in the film days, had to use some filters every now and then.
Yeah, but they're mainly correcting the white balance, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I'm not a big fan of filters in general.
Yeah, I have quite a few. These, I think it's Cockin filters that you have a filter holder and you have all these effect filters and all kinds of crazy filters. I think it was in late 70s, early 80s when that was a big thing to have all these, wacky filters. That would probably be a fun video idea to make let's see what they are, because they are actually quite horrible to be honest. And that's true that back in the days when using film, because films were balanced for daylight mainly. Of course, they were tungsten films, but mainly we used daylight films. And if you had, indoors, you had tungsten light, you need to have a filter to to correct the white
Yeah.
balance. You couldn't do it in camera otherwise, or you could not do it in post that effectively.
Yes.
So
Someone's commenting my T-shirt,
yeah.
and I gotta tell a small fun story. When I was a couple of years ago, when I was traveling all over the place, and whenever people saw this T-shirt, they came up with the most incredible like ideas or things that they were thinking about when they saw the T-shirt, something that I never could have imagined. So it was quite fun sometimes to listen to people, what they had to say about this and what they thought about when they saw this slogan.
Yeah, they probably had their big DSLRs there.
And people who were not photographers at all, they just saw the slogan and they didn't really, they thought it was something really, really deep or whatever, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah, there was Roman K was talking about light painting and asking what different light painting tools people are using. And light painting is actually a really fun thing, and with Olympus cameras with live composite you can do it really easily. And any light source that is small can be used, and that's also a genre of photography that you need to make your own lights. You use Christmas lights, use small flashlights. Then of course you can buy all these fancy acrylic things where you put the flashlight underneath and then you kind of like wave it and make all different kinds of shapes. But that's something that almost any light source can be used. And when you use live comp, you can actually see what happens on the screen. That how the image progresses when you add some more light to it. But that's something that to experiment, I would say.
Yes, and that's also a great idea now. If you can't go out, do some light painting or live comp pictures inside.
Yeah, turn off the lights and start making different shapes and writing text on the air with small flashlights or Christmas lights or whatever. That is really a good thing to do. Let's see what World is Krebs is saying. He's happy with his Micro Four Thirty kits, have Lumix and Olympus bodies and lenses. Yeah. Tend to go to photo walks with only one body and two lenses. Yeah. Which one you prefer, Waldis? Which Panasonic or Olympus? You can decide now here.
Could you put your channel location up here?
Yeah, you can. I will. Well, Matti can do it now, but I can also put it in the description of this video. Then actually, I will do it anyway. So
but you can easily find it if you just search Sulanto blog on YouTube. But Peter will put it.
I will put a link in the description of this video. I think it might already be there. I'm not sure but I will put it after the live stream. Let's see. Is there any questions? There's Uwe is asking about the Panasonic viewfinder G9. He has some problems with the oval-looking EVF. Is there nothing? Is that a? You probably know what it is.
Yeah, I see that. Well, I don't think it's a problem if you are not wearing glasses. For me, it's a small problem because I can't get my eye close enough to the viewfinder, the eyepiece. But it's not a big problem. But if your eye is too far from the eyepiece, then it can have some like a pincushion distortion, a little bit, the viewfinder. But I'm pretty used to it. I can't say it's a big problem for me.
Okay, so it's only the thing that if you have glasses, you're kind of like too far from the from the viewfinder. Yeah, that's always with the glasses. It's a bit of a problem, but I'm also used to it. I have sometimes the same problem that I need to kind of look around a bit if there's something in the edges. and have come back home with images that have some small things just in the corner there, which I need to clone out. But sometimes that happens.
It happens sometimes, and sometimes more often.
Oh yes, yeah. So okay, it's glasses because people are talking about T-shirts. Gas rehabilitation T-shirt. That's a good one. Rick Bear is saying that Rob
Yeah.
Trek needs a gas rehabilitation T-shirt. That's a good one. I love this.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and there's also that Rob Trek is saying to Robin Wong that he should have a shutter therapy T-shirt. I think that's a great word.
Yeah.
Shutter therapy is a great word, and that's really good. That's really good. Oh, well, thanks, Dave, for your comment. I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying and staying with us, even though we've been talking for over an hour already. And I guess we've said something that makes sense because people are still here.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
For once.
For once, yeah. Are there any questions? Is there anything that you want to answer?
Someone asked in Finnish a while back that if do we have any like secret messages or any messages in our pictures when we make them?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I'm sorry, I kind of forgot it because there's so many other things. And if I answer, I don't intentionally do, but I can, when I go back to my images, I can see from the images that how I was feeling during that time. Because of course, sometimes you feel a bit down, and sometimes you're more merrier. Even I smile sometimes, you know. Not that often though, because I don't know why. But anyways, I don't really, you know, have a big message in my images. It's more or less expressing my feelings. And now I'm talking about when I shoot for myself. It varies quite a bit. I tend to like more grungy things, and if there is something, you know, broken or there's a graffiti on the wall, and that's something that I really like. And I don't know if that might be something to do with my mood sometimes also, but I don't know. What about you, Matti?
I try to have something in my pictures, but or how should I say? First of all, I want to say, I've said it before, that I need a proper reason to take pictures. I'm not enjoying myself if I just go out and start taking some pictures. I need to have some sort of like a goal or a target. Many times it's just taking some test shots on a new lens for my video, but sometimes it's something else. And I'm a documentarist in my heart, so every time I go out with my camera, I'm documenting I like to document the area where I live, and it's not necessarily one picture that you know tells the whole story. These days I try to make like series of pictures series of pictures that all together tell a story. I think it's much more interesting than trying to make one picture, one pretty picture, or just one picture that says something. And I don't know if that answers anything, but that's how I feel.
Yeah. Then actually, Rob Trek is asking, what photography genre do you enjoy most when not doing paid jobs?
Well, I guess I just said it. I'm a documentarist, and I like to document whatever I'm seeing. And right now, for example, close to where I live, they are tearing down a couple of buildings, and they are going to build, of course, new buildings there. So I've been taking pictures of that area, and maybe someday I have like a series of pictures that make sense, where the old buildings are still there, and then some pictures show how they tear down the buildings, and the new buildings are then there in another shot, maybe something like that.
Yeah, and actually about those are not very small buildings. Those are, I think city officials, some.
Yeah, they're big buildings.
Yeah, and they're building some new ones. I think they're building a hotel or something. I don't know what, but whatever. And then I would say that what I enjoy most is street photography, but not the classical way. Maybe not necessarily the decisive moment, but details. And if something is not the way it's supposed to be, if it's broken, if there's a graffiti and stuff like that, a bit on the grungy side. And I'm a big fan of Japanese street photographers, which are quite crazy. And like one of my favorites is Daido Moriyama, who is really doing some. I would say that if you would take those images to a photo school, and when you're starting making photography, they would say that those images are awful. And that's something that I'm kind of into, and that's because when I do paid jobs, then they have to be kind of like mostly polished and nice and beautiful, and then when I do my own work, it's really great to do something totally different. That's probably why I like that kind of photography. Maybe I should.
Robin is.
Oh, sorry.
Robin is asking you to go to KL, but Robin, what are you talking about? It's impossible right now.
Yeah, sorry, can't make it now. Maybe next fall, because we are planning on going to Singapore, and I think it's pretty close, if I'm correct. Maybe we could take a day or two trip over to Kuala Lumpur also and do some street photography. Maybe you could.
Maybe I'll join you.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. And then there was, let's see, there was some questions about Greg Schroeder. Says that gentlemen. I always like when people start talking about gentlemen. I have the 12 to 42 millimeter and the 40 to 150. Do you recommend upgrading to the 12 to 40 or getting the 17? Well, I would probably get the 17 millimeter lens just for those darker moments. It's a lot faster lens. Because you have the zoom, and if you need to zoom, it's still very good lens combined with the IBIS. So I would probably get the 17 millimeter. I don't know what Matti's opinion is.
I would do the same. I'm a prime shooter, and I could ditch all the zooms altogether and just get the 17 and have a nice compact setup. But I know that not everyone can do that.
I just wrote it. Let's see. I wrote it, Rob. It's Daido Moriyama. That was yeah, it's right there. And let's see what else is here. There's something. This is Matti for you probably. Should a Lumix 20mm f1.7 V1 be able to AFC and AFF on GX85? I have the 25. It seems to work fine, but then for the 20, the options are grayed out, I guess.
Yes, that 20mm is a kind of funny lens. It doesn't do continuous autofocus in photo or in stills mode.
Oh, that's interesting.
It can do continuous autofocus on some cameras on video mode, but it's not very good, to be honest.
Well, that's interesting. Do you know why? Is there any reason for that?
I'm not sure. I think it's because the focusing motor moves the whole lens assembly, and I think it's just not fast enough for continuous focus. That's what I think.
Oh, I see.
I'm not sure if that's the reason.
Oh, okay, I see.
But it's a great lens. I love the lens. It's a very, very good lens still.
Yeah, and if you don't need the continuous autofocus, then then it's all right. No problem with that. If otherwise, the AF is okay.
Yeah, it's a semi-wide angle.
Yeah.
why would you need a continuous autofocus? I never use continuous autofocus.
Well, me neither, very, very seldom, but if somebody needs it, then of course.
Yeah.
Quick AF though. Let's see if there are any questions. It's just funny that Robin Wong is here. It's actually 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning in Malaysia right now, so he's been up early.
Yeah, Robin has weird hours and he loves us, so.
All right, that's great. Thanks, Robin. We love you too. And then there's Jen Granger says, I'd like to challenge you, Peter, Matti, Robin, and Rob. All do tutorials on settings your camera dials up to shooting manual and best tips for shooting in manual. Well, that's a good challenge to do a video about that.
I can do that. I have a video on my camera settings already, but
yeah, but that was about manual. If you're shooting only manual, then what about the settings on that? If there's any differences?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, why not?
I'm just doing Crackathon. What's that? Let's see. Well, it's 4:14 a.m. Yeah, well, that's early. That is early. Let's see if there is any. Okay, then Craig Schroeder is asking, my question is based on whether the additional stop of light or more is that big of a deal between 20 at f2.8 to 1.7. I realize 1.4 will make a big difference in low light. Well, it is, I don't know, it depends how big the difference is, but for me, it is a big difference.
It's hard to say. I just think a small compact prime, like for example the 17mm f1.8, it's just such a nice lens that I just use it. Today is not my day. I keep forgetting all the words. But anyhow,
no
I just would take a small prime before a zoom lens any day. But it's just me.
Yeah, that's also a good point. The 12 to 40mm is not a big lens, but 17mm lens is a lot smaller. So that could be also a thing. Then there was actually a question that Kars is asking. I think he asked this already once, but we didn't answer him. He was talking about, I want to shoot a time-lapse from night to noon on my G85, 80mm f1.8. What settings can you recommend to cover the dynamic range and extend battery power? That's a tough question when you have night to noon. Then if you cannot go out and change the settings during the shoot, that's also a possibility. Then the only thing is to do automatic, but then it might be a bit problem during the night.
Yes, I have to say I'm not that experienced with the time lapses, so I can't really say how the real pros do it.
I know that they do it. They change the exposure.
Yeah, of course that, but I mean, yeah. But in general, how they do make those amazing time lapses. Yeah, I haven't really done many of those.
Okay, then there is Uwe is asking that we're well known for Olympus Panasonic gear, but what is your position to third-party manufacturers like Laowa, Samyang? Are you free in your opinion, or do you have restrictions? Well, my opinions are mine, and my opinions are not restricted. And the only thing that I cannot make a commercial deal with Laowa and Samyang. I can test them and I can use them. And I've actually tested Laowa lenses and Sigma lenses on my channel, and you know, they are all good lenses, but of course they are manual focus lenses. They're a bit different, so it's always hard to compare lenses which has AF and manual focus. But it depends on what you need. But those both are really good. And I used to have, when I was shooting with Canon, I used to have Samyang lenses for video. I really liked the character of the image. And
same thing here.
You probably have
I have no restrictions. I can do whatever I want. but it's just a matter of what I really want to
Yeah,
do.
that's another thing. Yeah. Let's see if there's any other questions. I like when people are talking to each other here and helping each other. It's really good. And thanks, Robin, for being and helping and answering the questions.
Yeah, Robin is such a great guy, great friend.
Oh yeah, And now a big question from Photoswain. I would like to hear why Matti likes primes over zooms, with a smile.
Okay. One thing is that if you shoot with just one prime lens, it makes it all so simple. You never have to think about which lens, which focal length, how do I zoom in or out. You just take this one lens and shoot everything on that lens, and it makes life so simple. And once you have used the same lens for a while, you already know how to frame your shot, and you know exactly how the shot is gonna come out, even if you don't bring the camera to your eye. And that's why I like prime lenses, and also they are more compact than zoom lenses and usually optically better, and they have faster maximum aperture, and I think that's reason enough.
Yeah, that's actually a good practice too. That I know Matti's been talking about that a lot. That you only use one lens, one camera and one lens for a certain amount of time, and prime lens. Then you will start seeing images that are suitable for that focal length, and that will improve your vision and will get you better images. And I've tried it a couple of times, and that's what I usually do when I travel. I only take one body and one lens. Apart, of course, if I'm doing video, then it's a different thing. But for photography, I usually do, and smaller the better. So, but that's also something that you will or will teach you a lot. You will miss some shots, but you will get some other ones that might be even better. You start to see different things.
But you are always going to miss some shots, and you probably miss more shots if the more gear you have with you, because you're fiddling with your gear, and while you're doing that you are missing shots and you don't see what's happening around you. If you only have a minimal amount of gear, then the chances you get better shots are better.
Oh yes, that's exactly. Okay, and then photo saying, yeah, good points. And Matti has usually some good points.
Sometimes,
yes. I only admit here on the live when we're talking to each other privately, I always say he doesn't have any good ideas. But here I want to be polite because he's my guest here now.
That's why I wanted to be a guest, because I knew you'd be polite.
Oh yeah, that's
at
true.
least once.
I've been polite for an hour and a half already.
Yeah, that's enough for the rest of the year.
Oh yeah,
almost.
it is. This is an interesting question. Cars is asking, I am considering buying an EM1 Mark III, and I wonder in what ways I can adjust Olympus picture profiles. Can I simulate a Canon or Fujifilm look? That's an interesting question. The picture profiles are adjustable. You can tweak them and adjust, but to be honest, I've never really done that, but that would be interesting to test if you could get the Canon look. There, of course, first would have to be a photograph taken with a Canon or Fuji camera, and that'd be interesting to test. But I've really hard to say that how much you can tweak it towards those cameras. But like Robin Wong is saying, that the Olympus colors are very close to Canon. I can't really, to be honest, I don't remember anymore how close it is to Canon, because it's a long time since I've used Canon cameras.
I have to say, I don't really care about the so-called camera colors or color science, because I pretty much always shoot raw, and then I will process my photos the way I like them. I'm not saying that Lumix has bad colors, no way. I'm just saying that I'm not too interested in that. I just shoot raw, and then I get the look that I want in post anyway.
Yes, and then well, who was that? Remember, somebody says that Rob Drake has a video on his channel about getting colors from Olympus that are closer to Fuji. I think he had, so that you might wanna check out Rob's channel. And then Ole Osheim is asking about the EM1 Mark III and its joystick, how much better it is than the EM5 Mark III with the arrow pad. And I would say it is a lot better to use the joystick. And with the joystick also, what is good, it can do the word that I cannot pronounce diagonally, like this. You can move the focusing point. It goes all the ways, and that's a really good way. Once you start using it, it's oops. I don't know if you can see it's back here. Once you start using it, it's really good. But of course, if like me, I'm more used to the arrow pad, and then that's fine too. But the joystick is a lot better.
The question was not for me, but I can totally agree with Peter. I wouldn't want to use a camera without a joystick. I have some cameras that don't have joystick, but I love that. I think it's the best way to move the autofocus point around.
Yeah. And then there is a question about Luminar 4. I've heard that it is a really good software, and they've been improving it a lot. And I think it has some artificial intelligence features that you can remove the sky and put another sky like this, like like click of a mouse. But I haven't really tried that. But that's something that I plan on doing if this lockdown and situation is going to last a long time. I will start experimenting with other image editing software. So that's really. Oh, this is interesting. There's a Robin Wong. Your comment is being withheld because you used a word that apparently is not proper. It's nothing bad, but I need to hide that.
I'm gonna answer Holger, who's saying that shooting RAW is a lot of work in post. Well, it's not really. Peter just had a video. He was talking about post-processing and the way I do it, and I know Peter does the same thing. When I have first of all, I don't shoot that a lot because I learned to shoot when we still used film. I shoot more than I was shooting when I was using film, but still I'm pretty economical in that sense compared to many digital shooters that were learned to use only digital camera. But when I come back with say 50 pictures, I don't process all of those pictures. I just choose the best ones and I process them, and my post-processing workflow is pretty fluid. And it doesn't take me a long time to process one picture. It may take 30 seconds, it may take a couple of minutes, but seldom any more than that. So it's not a big deal for me, the post-processing.
Yeah, me too. I as Matti said, I do have a video about that, and I'm not a big image editor in a way that I do a lot of image editing. I'm quite fast because I don't really do that much. The main thing what I do is I usually, of course, make the contrast and the dehaze, the global adjustments, and then what I do, I try to adjust the lighting a bit, make some parts a bit darker usually to make the subject pop out a bit more. That's about it. It is something that I'm also used to because I used to do a lot of slides when I was back in the film days, and that was it. You can really do anything about it. So I try to do images as ready as possible. So that's my way of doing it. But I think doing something else than heavy image editing is fine. I don't. It's the end result that matters. If it's pleasing, I don't really care if it's heavily edited or not.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I agree.
see about, is there Greg Schroeder is asking about if the autofocus is a lot faster with EM1 Mark III than it is with EM1X fast cars transfer. I haven't really tried or compared those that much. Actually, I don't have the X right now, so I'm sorry to say that I cannot really say anything about that. It's quite close what I've heard, that there's not really a big difference in that sense in the AF. Right. Somebody's sending terveisiä Saksasta. Kiitoksia. Sorry if some Finnish here in the... Somebody was actually asking me to do some parts of the video in Finnish just to hear what the Finnish language looks or hears or what does it sound like, but maybe...
Me voidaan tehdä se nyt tässä, mä voin puhua sulle suomea tässä.
Mä en tiedä, täällä ei varmaan ole kauhean paljon suomalaisia, että ehkä me ei nyt tehdä sitä kuitenkaan, että lähtee kaikki pois. You all will be
There was some Finnish for you guys.
Yeah. Let's see, what about... Yeah, then a few things about the toilet paper challenge, which we did not cover yet, but you really should go and check out Rob Treck's take on that. I think it was a magnificent idea and a magnificent image. I was laughing. It was brilliant. It was totally brilliant.
I agree.
Oh, yes.
Do it. Check it out.
No, it was hilarious. Yeah, let's see if there's any more questions. Not that many anymore. We've been here. Well, now somebody said, I think it was Rick Bear who said that we want some bonus hour. We've got some bonus 30 minutes already, so.
Yes.
So somebody's asking, Mark Sean Torrey is asking about, is GH4 worth getting, or should it go to GH5?
It's always so hard to say about the second-hand cameras. What's the price and what's the condition of the equipment? If you can get it for a good price, I guess it's a good camera still. But once you've used the GH5, I think it's a lot better camera. Well, the GH5.
It's a newer camera, so of course it is.
Yeah.
But I actually, in my video that I made about my cabinet, which is over there, I still have it in there. It's a GH4, which I used to use before the M1 Mark II came. I used it for video, and it was a good video camera still. It's okay, it's 8-bit, so if you want something better than that, then it's not for you. But it's good, and if you can get it with a good price, and it is 425 euros, 425, and that's not a bad price for that. If you already have some Micro Four Third lenses, then why not? Why not?
Rudolph is writing some Finnish comments.
All right. Yeah, it's actually, Rudolph, they don't make Lapinkulta anymore. I think they ditched that beer because everybody's buying handmade craft beer now in Finland.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think they ditched it. It used to be a very good. Yeah, that's true that GH4 doesn't have IBIS and not very good autofocus, but most cases when you're doing video, you do manual focus anyway, so I don't think that's a big issue. But of course, it depends what you do if you need autofocus. That's true.
I can't really say if it's a good deal or not. I have to say I'm not familiar with the second-hand market, especially in another country.
Oh yeah,
it's so hard.
That's true. That's true. Of course, that's true. And if you have if you're buying second-hand, it's always good to be able to test it first. Go and if it's a camera that you will be using, then I would want to test it first. Of course, if you buy some vintage camera just that you want it, then it doesn't matter really if it works or not. Somebody's asking about news on Photokina 2020. It's cancelled.
Yes.
Next time is 2022. And actually, I wrote a. I think I messages Matti. We were, changing messages, and I think it was in the beginning of February when I said that most likely it will be cancelled because of the situation. So.
Yes.
Right. Let's see if there are any good questions. There are questions, and then there are really good questions. But of course, all questions are good. Anyways, there aren't any questions. Should we start calling it a night? Let's see. No, that wasn't a question. It was a comment from Joe Morano. Oh, this is a good one. Ole Osheim asking, what do you two consider to be best for video autofocus? EM5 Mark III or Panasonic G9? I don't really know. EM5 Mark III is very good in autofocus.
I haven't compared.
Face tracking is really good. Maybe we should do that sometimes.
Yeah, we can. When the situation is over, we can make a comparison. But right now, I can't. I can't comment.
We've made very many promises, so when the situation is over, we have to do those videos.
Yeah, at least one video of something.
Yeah, we have to do. But I think we've covered all the things and talked this and that, and I think we've had a good hour and a half, and really happy about that. There's still 130 people here wanting to listen to us, and but I think we've done our share, and now let's see if this works. Yeah, look at that, nice. Yeah, but I want to thank you, Matti, for being part of this live, and we'll need to do this sometime again.
Yeah, we can do, if the situation continues.
Oh yeah,
we can do this.
Yes.
If people are interested. Thanks everybody for joining in. It was a pleasure again, and thanks Peter for having me.
No problem. It was my pleasure. Now I need to figure out how to end this, but hey.
Kiitos Antille kanssa.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thanks for watching, and bye for now.